The movie kicks off 5 years ago in Cairo, Egypt. In the house of an Egyptian's billionaire, who treats everyone rudely, didn't expect to be robbed one day until Shark along with his crew brilliantly gains access into his house. The billionaire looks really terrified as Wolf pretends to eat him, but opens his private area, where he parked his expensive car, although Spider seems shocked same as the billionaire that he came for the car not for his fortune. But before they leave, Snake presents an explosive gift to him that blew up his house as Wolf drives their way out. Wolf driving skills was really amazing, which draws the attentions of the cops, who follow him tirelessly until some point where Miss Spider hacks into a machine that lifted the bad guys, which ended the whole hard chase. Enjoy. Wolf says he won't drive any car again. The scene switches to the present where we see Wolf in a terrible car, heading to a job interview. Just after parking, he narrates to us how they felt the wag of doing good and how they made new friends and took down Marmalade and now starting over to live a good life, putting all their past behind as he and alongside with his crew goes for a job interview. Just when Wolf was being interviewed, the potential employer happens to remind Wolf he robbed that very bank 3 times. Even to his crew the same happened, as things hasn't been the same ever since they turned good. When Wolf was telling his crew he didn't get the job, something caught their attention as an undiscovered case of Phantom Bandit interrupted. They happened to be using techniques known for the bad guys, which seems disturbing to them. While they were conversing, Snake comes in, looking all happy and all as he step out again for an exercise, which seems unusual to the crew. Wolf in frustration visits Diane to confide in. As they combat, Wolf and Diane are really into each other, but tries as much as possible to keep things professional and stick to being just friends. Diane, just about to go, tells Wolf to give them a reason for them to believe they've changed. Just then, it dawns on Wolf to pay the chief cop a visit, which she doesn't appreciate. But Wolf comes with an offer saying she wants to prove the world she has this investigation under control, and he needs to prove to the world that they are completely good guys now. Proceeding to say it's the governor's idea though. Not looking at her face, Wolf then proceeds to tell her some insight on the case. He invites the rest to give their opinions on how the bandit were able to pull the heist, although Snake was the only one who didn't respond to his call. Before the call ends, an idea pops up as Wolf brilliantly figures out all the clues had something in common. They are made of a rare metal called megaponite, which points their pin on what they are after. With this, they know what or where they'll strike next. On their way home, Spider discovers the highest megaponite object is a championship belt. Shark explains the belt is for the championship tournament for the Lucha tournament. Piranha remembers that's where Snake said he was heading, making Wolf suspect Snake is the Phantom Bandit because he hasn't been hanging out with them, and the time schedule matches with the clue they found earlier. They rush to stop Snake before he pulls his next heist, or even before the cops gets him. They cited Snake as they accused him of being the Phantom Bandit, although Snake admits his indeed hiding something from them, admitting he's always outside to see his girlfriend named Susan. The crews burst into laughter because Snake isn't the romance type. As they were talking, the tournament had already begun as they saw a giant pig entering the ring. There, Wolf figures out that's the Phantom Bandit as he quotes the best way to steal a belt is to actually win it. Wolf and the crew took it up to expose them by unintentionally participating in the battle. They managed to defeat her, although she brilliantly wrapped the belt on Piranha, making it look like the bad guys wants to steal the belt. Even the chief police saw it as she calls for backup, reaching a dead end with the cops. Susan drove in and rescued them from the chaos. On their way, Susan noticed Piranha breath stings as she offers them some mints, though Wolf refused before he heads outside to call Diane. Diane certainly believes Wolf as he tells her it was a setup. Diane tells him the only way he can be of help is for him to give her a clue to start with. Wolf says it's something that has to do with megaponite, saying it's their only lead for now. Diane seems disturbed as she warns Wolf not to trust anyone. Just as she ends the call, she puts on her suit as it's revealed she's going to pay Marmalade a visit. Meanwhile, Wolf heads to the van to inform his crew that Diane has their back, but he opens it. The rest had already passed out except Susan, who shoots him with a sleeping dart, taking them to her boss, where they meet Kitty, the leader of the Phantom Bandit, and Pigtail. Despite Snake feels disappointed at Susan, he seems impressed. Kitty cuts in as she says she brought them so they could work hand in hand to pull off her heist. Even at that, Wolf refused, saying they are good now, but Kitty threatens to expose Diane when she was Crimson Paw. Wolf couldn't risk it as he reluctantly agrees to do the job. Anyway, the job so far is to steal a rocket. For the meantime, Diane arrives at Marmalade's cell. He now has charming muscles as he asks her to play a game with him in exchange of some information about the megaponite. Kitty lays the plan down, giving everyone a tool to work with, saying the mission is to steal Jeremiah Moon's watch. That way, they steal the rocket, proceeding to say the only problem is he never takes it off, but has a plan to disguise themselves in his wedding to pull the heist, where he wears a glass that identifies people worth talking to. The heist had begun when Snake started flirting with Susan, making Susan drop the tranquilizer that accidentally shoots the bride. Wolf disguised himself as a billionaire. Meanwhile, Spider hacked into the system, faking Wolf ransom. When Wolf was about to take off the switch, he got distracted as he sees the Egyptian billionaire coming towards them. Terrified he'll recognize him from his last visits, Although the billionaire tries to remember where he met Wolf before Kitty furiously disguised herself to borrow him for a minute, Kitty yells at him for blowing this up, but Wolf seems to have a backup plan as Wolf dresses like the bride. Meanwhile, the Egyptian billionaire didn't stop trying to remember Wolf's face, where Shark comes in as an officiant, which he finally gets who he truly is as he objects the union forcing Wolf to make the swap so easy, though the bride has started getting over the tranquilizer, kicking the Egyptian billionaire out of his wedding as Wolf and his crew drives their way out. Wolf explains how he predicted the Egyptian billionaire would object, quoting, "It's all about the distraction and not about the action." Meanwhile, Marmalade tells Diane about the magapinite, saying it's a magnet that draws only gold substance, saying it has the capacity to draw the whole world's gold, proceeding to say she's not the only one that visited to ask about the magapinite as he makes his sarcastic laugh, while Diane runs to the security demanding footage of last Marmalade's visitor, using a smart glass to get her location. Back to the Kitty's crew and the bad guys. Wolf wonders why she's with Megapinite, but Kitty lies it's a science project as she tries to see reasons why they wants to turn good though. What she said almost got into his head as he was about going with the flash drive, not knowing the car engine isn't there as Kitty double-crossed them, holding the bad guys as hostage again. This time she used gold cuffs on their hands as she proceeds to upload Diane's video saying it's Marmalade's wish for an information about the magapinite, giving them a choice to save themselves or save Diane's reputation, but they tried balancing the two as they failed, leading to their arrest. At the meantime, Kitty and her crew got to the rocket so as Diane has they didn't seem surprised. Diane manages to beat them off, but when attempting to make an arrest, Kitty tells her she isn't the governor anymore as she calls her the Crimson Paw. Diane seems shocked as she reaches for her phone. Seeing she has been exposed, Kitty got fed up as she shoots her with a sleeping dart. Although Diane manages to enter the rocket before the door got shut, the rumor spreads so fast as we see Marmalade being released while the bad guys gets arrested for false allegation. The bad guys tries to explain to the commissioner stating reasons why they shouldn't be arrested, though she didn't give them listening ears. Just while taking them to the station, the commander had a rethink as she releases the bad guys to work side by side with them to catch the Phantom Bandit. Just then, they had the sound of a launching rocket as they get determined to reach the rocket. Finally, they got in. Meanwhile, Diane begins to gain consciousness as she sees the bandit going outside to do some fixing. Wolf splits his crew up as he pairs Piranha and Snake, but at a point Piranha gets nervous farting inside Snake's mouth. Meanwhile, Kitty plans came through as she gets all the world's gold that she ever dreamt of. Piranha got really nervous seeing this as he farts again this time. It exposes them as they now know the bad guys are in the rocket. Wolf appears inside as he faces Kitty. Meanwhile, Piranha manages to pull the plug while Wolf manages to snatch the watch from her hand, making sure all gold returns back to Earth. Kitty got furious as she attacks Wolf, but Diane comes to his rescue, sharing a beautiful kiss with Wolf while Kitty Cruz turns against her. The rocket is now in terrible shape as everyone panics before the scene shifts to where we see citizens honoring them as heroes while the Phantom Bandit goes to jail. The chief commander fakes their death to give them a chance to be good as she gives them a job of being a secret agent, which they accepted as they make a cool entrance into the company. While I'm guessing you enjoyed the movie, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment in this channel for more mind-blowing recaps. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.